Welcome to the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode number 172. Hi, I'm Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
And I'm Jill. Chris and I are your hosts for this podcast and the founders of the Becoming Elli community.
We decided to name our community Becoming Elli because Elli was the Norse goddess of aging who beat Thor in a wrestling match. Jill and I thought, hey, we want to be like Elli, fit and strong as we age.
Yes. You can find out more about the Becoming Elli community and this podcast at our website, becomingelli.com. And Elli is spelled E-L-L-I. Sign up for our newsletter while you're there.
Hey, we'd like to send a special shout out to Lori Kurtz Kelly, who said, Chris and Jill, your posts and podcast episodes are inspiring and insightful. Great resources for women who want to continue to enjoy their active lives. Thank you, Lori, for your kind words and also for supporting our podcast with your donation through our Buy a Cup of Coffee on our becomingelli.com website. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you this information through our website and podcast.
Yes, thank you, Lori. Good point, Chris, that buy a cup of coffee means we actually use that money, not for coffee, but to keep us going.
Pay for the hosting, pay for the podcast hosting fees. There are some fees involved with trying to keep this thing going, but it makes a difference to me. It really does. I love hearing from our guests and from our listeners.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. January's been a crazy month for us, Chris. We did our January bingo, and how did you do?
Yeah, that was quite a challenge. I did pretty well. I didn't get all of my squares filled. I didn't clear the whole board, but I did most of them, and it really was helpful to me to have some new ideas of stuff to do.
Yes, and in our Becoming Elli group, people were posting their bingo cards with things marked off. And I found that inspirational because I'd see how many some of them had done it. I'd be like, oh, I better get moving here.
Right. Well, I posted another bingo card on our website, and this one is for February. We changed it up, didn't we? And
yes, we
added
did.
A few things, took out some others that seemed like they might have been kind of duplicates or whatever. And I've already started marking those off as well. So if you haven't had a chance, go to our website. It's in the top navigation bar there, and take a look at the February 2025 bingo.
Yeah, I've already started working on mine. I think it's a good card. So January was also a busy month for us because you and I both went on vacations. We both got away from cold weather here in Northern Ohio. And I just want to say, we've talked about this in the past, but I was very proud of myself because I was able to lift my carry-on luggage into the overhead bin without any help. I was very glad I had that strength.
Yeah, that is always something that you're very thankful for. There's a lot of things that I think of when I'm traveling that I'm thankful for. So much you kind of take for granted until you see some of the other folks struggling with things. I love being on vacation during the cold weather. It got extremely cold a couple times here, and I was really missing my walks in nature. I mean, walking on the treadmill is something that, I do when I can't be outside, but it was beyond cold here several times before I left. And so I was really ready for the 65 to 75 degree weather that we had when I was in the Florida Keys. It was great.
Well, I was in Hawaii, which was it's very exciting. But the one thing we did was we went kayaking and snorkeling. So you had to kayak in the ocean, but probably is sort of sheltered a bit. But at any rate, we kayaked and then we went snorkeling, and we were not on the beach. So you had to stay in the water until you got back in the kayak, which was a feat in itself. Let me tell you that.
Getting in and out of kayaks is challenging, I think.
Yeah, especially
from the water.
Water. It was not
graceful.
Sure. I'm glad that was not filmed because I did not do well, but I got in.
Hey, if you got in, you did well.
But I thought we were snorkeling for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I thought, I've been out here for over an hour and I haven't even, it was fine.
You were fine. Yeah.
And I was not the first one to say, I need to get back on the kayak.
Yeah. You didn't get worn out first. So that's saying something.
I was like, oh, cool. I'm good.
Yeah. Because you were there with younger people and that always it can be challenging if you're not ready for it. Well, I found that the healthy eating was a little bit challenging when I was gone because my regular go-tos and my regular meals were interrupted with all these fun vacation plans. But I did get a chance to eat a lot of seafood and fish, a lot of fish, snapper, fresh fish that was like caught that day. It was just really cool. And, sides of vegetables. So that kind of kept me more on track. But I'll tell you, it's very appealing to just eat whatever, whenever, when you're on the run like that, doing fun things.
So there is perfectly fine to have to enjoy yourself and to eat things you might not normally eat. But it's also nice to have things like fresh seafood and lots of vegetables. And it's a good reminder that good food, really good tasting food, doesn't necessarily have to be bad for you.
Yeah. Well, and I was lucky I was there with 4 other women and they all eat pretty healthy too. And I think that's kind of what happens when you hang out with folks, kind of like-minded folks, it just kind of rubs off. So that was fun.
Right. Was really fun. It does make it easier.
Yeah. But now that I'm back into the cold weather here, I've been back to the gym quite a few days. It's the only place I can find a way to walk without slip sliding on the ice because we've had 2 ice storms since I've been back in 1 week.
Yes, it's challenging. So going to the gym
it's the right answer.
I'm glad to have the gym to go to.
Yeah, we did an episode about balance many years ago, and I just come back to that advice that Joe Rango told us, which is walk like a penguin. And I think of that all the time.
I said that this weekend. I was in a parking lot. I said, I have to walk like a penguin.
Yep. And a lot of the classes that I do at the gym where I go focus on balance, although it's a strength class where you're doing dumbbells and things, but, a lot of lifting while you're on one foot or marching, and then a lot of double moves or whatever that really help with balance. And I think that's good when you're on the ice too. It's definitely helped me anyway.
Yeah. Balance is something I've been doing. Single side exercises lately.
Yes.
They're challenging, and I am definitely out of kilter as far as my left and right side.
Yep. Your strength just kind of naturally develops on, I don't know, I'm thinking of like when you play kickball or something, you typically stand, if you're right-footed, like I am, you stand on your left foot, kick with your right. So that gets that you have really good balance on your left and not so much on your right because your right foot's moving. And so I've spent a lot of time trying to balance that out, so to speak.
Yeah, I get it. It's a challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Back to the podcast for a minute here. I want to say that I always think of this as your favorite question, Kris. You always ask people, do you have a favorite go-to dinner? Something that you eat when you get home and you have to get something on the table. Do you want to tell us why you like asking that question?
Yeah. Well, I'm always looking for ideas of things to cook that are both healthy and that I can have in reserve for days where I'm rushed, because my life isn't a regular routine schedule like it used to be when I was working, and I knew, exactly which day I'd be home and what day I would be. There's a lot of variables in my schedule these days. So I really like something that can be easy, something I can do in the last minute, and most importantly, tasty and healthy. So when I ask folks what their favorite go-to meal is, I love their answers because it really does give me some ideas of either things I can prepare in advance or throw together at the last minute.
Well, you are in luck today because I've put together some of the go-to recipes that people have suggested over the years.
Yeah. And for those new listeners, we've been doing this podcast since January of 2018, which I don't know, what is that? How many years? Several,
Well, it's 7?
6, 7?
It's 25
7
now.
if I'm doing, 7 years of podcasts.
I'm going to say I did not get all of them.
There's a lot. There is a whole lot.
There's a lot. So maybe we'll do this again sometime and I'll get the other ones.
And I'm always looking for new ideas too. So that's great.
I had a good time looking at some of the older episodes we've done. And there's a few that I tagged that I'm going to go back and listen to myself. So
yeah, you almost forget because so much time has gone by and there's some terrific people that have mentioned things. So I love this idea. Kristin Kirkpatrick was on episode 82, which was titled Nutrition for Women Over 50 with Kristin Kirkpatrick.
You have some really fantastic recipes on your website. But I wondered, do you have a go-to meal that you prepare on a busy day when, you get home and you need to cook something?
Yeah. So my go-to meal, let me just say again, as women, we also often become like, we have shame when we don't do things perfectly, or we're not like, watching the Food Network and seeing them chop vegetables. I will buy all my vegetables already chopped.
There you go, Chris.
Yeah. Yes, we were talking about that. And I felt like such a cheater when I was doing that.
Totally. I'm more likely to eat them. So my go-to is I take like a big bag of broccoli florets and a big bag of roasted Brussels sprouts. I roast it in the oven. So just shove it in the oven. Then I'll make quinoa, or I'll get a pouch of quinoa, right? And then I will put all those veggies on top of the quinoa. And I don't even follow a recipe for it, even though I have one on my website. But then I'll just take some tahini, some lemon juice. And again, lemon juice could come from a bottle, not an actual lemon that I just don't have in my house that day. And some like garlic powder or garlic oil, and just kind of mix it up a little bit like a tahini sauce. And I put that on top, and that's dinner.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, and it's great. And it doesn't take long, right? I mean, I'm not chopping anything. I'm sticking it in the oven. The thing that takes the longest is probably like making the tahini. And even that doesn't take long.
Lisa Bartlett. We talked to Lisa in episode 86. It was called Fit After 50 Forever with Lisa Bartlett. Do you have a go-to meal for those days when you're super busy, but you have to get dinner on the table?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I do one, especially if I'm really short on time. I always have a Jenny O turkey kielbasa in the freezer.
Okay.
So I'll make that, and I'll make I know it doesn't sound healthy, but the Jenny O is not too bad. I do the rice-a-roni white cheddar shells, and I throw in broccoli.
Nice.
So I just throw the Jenny O, the kielbasa in the air fryer, chopped up, and then I make the rice-a-roni, and I throw that and the broccoli in with it. So that's a super quick meal.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And other meals are just like roast chicken. And I do a lot of the frozen vegetables because they're just as healthy and they're super easy and they don't go bad in the fridge. Roasted cauliflower, my kids love. That's one of our go-to veggies is roasted cauliflower.
Nice. That is good. Roasted vegetables of any kind, it seems like, are just excellent.
Yeah. I love roasted veggies. And with an air fryer, you can do them quicker and easier. You don't have to heat up the entire kitchen if you have an air fryer, which I highly recommend everybody get.
Amanda Nighbert, her episode was number 96, and that episode was called Living Energized and Nourished with Amanda Nighbert. Do you have like a go-to meal, something that if you haven't done the food prep or, something what's your quick and easy that you got to get something on the table?
I have 3. Okay. And you should too. Okay. Number 1, Brenner, breakfast for dinner. It is a fan favorite. Okay. And I usually make a big veggie omelet, but for my kids, I'll make bacon and eggs, throw a couple biscuits in, maybe make some high protein pancakes. Super simple. So Brenner is always a fan favorite in my house. Number 2 is tacos. Who doesn't love tacos? And it's so simple to make. And again, I will typically make a huge taco salad. So I have lettuce and onions and peppers and guac and, all the food groups involved in that. And then my kids will get, taco shells and kind of whatever, super simple. And then the last one is pasta. So I'll do a meaty marinara sauce with a jar pasta. Most of the time, I'm going to eat my pasta either with an edamame pasta, which is a really high protein plant-based pasta. It's really high fiber, tastes just like pasta because I aim to be gluten-free. Or I'm going to put mine over spaghetti squash or zoodles. Again, I'm always focused on how am I going to get my vegetables in this meal? It's going to be the biggest thing on my plate. On top of how am I going to get my protein? So a nice pasta meal, tacos, and Brenner. Pretty much we're eating every week.
Jone Carpenter. Her episode was called Find Your Tribe and was number 104. Do you have a favorite go-to recipe that you could share with us? I'm sort of always looking for ideas for dinner.
Oh, gosh. For make-ahead things or for...
Well, it could be make-ahead, or it could be like, what do you cook on the days when you come home and you think, I need to get something ready quickly?
It's go-to is chicken and broccoli. Always have frozen vegetables, even if it's not broccoli, it's broccoli, cauliflower, or, a medley, something like that. I always have something frozen, typically have something frozen. A lot of times what I'll do too is on my mass cook days, I'll go ahead and make those chicken breasts and then have them individually packaged and frozen to pull out on the days that I'm really in a rush.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Otherwise, the food prep has come from the Saturday, Sunday massive meal preps. I did it. One of my favorites. I love cabbage. So I have a cabbage roll casserole. That's just cabbage and turkey meat and tomatoes. And there's cheese on top and you bake it and it comes out just like a casserole. So you can just cut it up in squares and then I portion it out and it's ready to go.
Joyce Guenther talked to us in episode 107 about bicycling in all 50 states.
Do you have a go-to recipe for something that you love to make or that you use when you're short on time and need dinner?
Oh my gosh. You mean like tonight and also all the nights?
Yes, exactly.
Every day at 5:30, I'm shocked and amazed. I've been married 40 years and I'm shocked and amazed that there's another meal. I know, right? I have just started making a chicken, like a sheet pan dinner that's Mediterranean chicken. It's so good. Or you could use shrimp too. It's chicken and like Kalamata olives, feta cheese, peppers, red onion, everything except for the cheese and the olives. You cook in a sheet pan and you make a sauce out of like, I don't know what it is, probably balsamic olive oil, maybe honey, some Greek herbs. And cook that on a sheet pan. And then when you take it out, put, and there's potatoes in there too. Like I put little red potatoes in there. But, and then when you take it out, put the cheese and the olives on there. That is really good.
What kind of cheese was it? Feta cheese?
Feta cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use goat cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. I think I'm going to make that tonight because I haven't really thought about it.
So do you marinate the chicken or anything beforehand or you just put it on?
No, you just
parchment
like sort of. Yeah, you can do it on parchment or foil. Mm-hmm. I make I got this from all recipes, I think, that you just make whatever the sauce is you're going to cook it in and just mulch it up in there and throw it on the sheet pan. It's really good. And it also looks really pretty.
Yeah, thank you.
It sounds like something that you could put out there and look very complicated, like something that took you a long time to cook.
Yeah. And when you make it, that's all stuff that I would usually have. So
yeah, sheet pan recipes.
I like those sheet pan dinners.
Yeah, me too.
I do too.
They're easy.
Yep.
And I don't know why that's like something new. It seems like, why didn't we ever make food like that before? You know what I mean?
I do.
I don't know. Because we didn't have the internet to tell us we could do it.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Harold Simpson's episode was called Rock Climbing and Yoga. It was episode 109. So do you have any go-to recipe that you make, like when you're, a real busy day and you need to throw together a meal quickly? Is there something that's kind of your standard, this is what I love to eat, that you'd be willing to share with us?
Can't even think of anything. Oh, actually, when I saw this movie years ago called Life is Beautiful, remember that movie? Somebody in the movie was at a sidewalk cafe with a tossed salad and a sliced smoked salmon. And that looked so good to me. I started making it. And now it is a kind of a go-to thing for me. And when it's warm particularly.
What kind of dressing do you put on it?
it's been a while since I've had it because it just now got hot here. But now that I'm talking about it, I think I want to have it again. I'm trying to remember that. I guess you could just put any type of dressing you want, but just make sure, or oil and vinegar. I mean, basmati vinegar, and it's got good fat and it's got no sugar.
Katie Orlando, her episode was Sharing Love of Tennis with Katie Orlando. It was number 114.
When there's no time to cook dinner and you're really hungry, do you have a certain go-to meal or something that you like to make?
I don't really make much food. It's more like, who do I call to get food?
So it's a takeout.
My favorite food, obviously, and I actually eat a lot of it, is pizza.
Yeah.
Because it's just plain. I just do cheese, plain, the bread, the sauce and the cheese, To me, that's a good fix for me to eat. I'm a pizza girl. Obviously, I can't eat the whole pizza, but it gives me enough fuel to get going for the next day.
This is a real big aside. I had a spinach pepper pizza the other day.
Okay.
It was
Is it good?
I don't eat a lot of pizza. Boy, it was like, this was the best pizza I've had in a long time.
Spinach on it. That's usually not something that you hear about on.
I know. That's why I was a little skeptical, but it was excellent.
Yeah. I won't ever put spinach on anything, but I don't mind if spinach, like if I order something, spinach is on it. It's amazing. Like spinach is so good for you. I mean, I should eat it more. That sounds really good. Actually, I love peppers too.
It was good.
That sounds really good.
Pat Bissell. Her episode was 168 and was called Find Your Passion and Stay Healthy with Pat Bissell. So like if you are having a really busy day and you come home, and do you have a go-to meal that is like healthy that you just make that when you get home? Like, is there a certain meal that you put together?
No, but not really, but I try to have, like I said, we have a lot of vegetables, and then all winter long I make vegetable soup. And now that my husband's around more, it goes really fast. I mean, I always put cruciferous vegetables in it. Like I have cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage in it this week. I just finished making it actually. So that if I have that, that's my go-to. If I'm starving, I will. And then I also try to have a protein. Like now I have X amount of containers frozen with turkey. So I pull out one container, cut up the turkey, throw it in the soup, and that'll be my go-to. In the summer, we don't have soup. I'll just try to have vegetables cut up or a salad or some kind of protein too.
Well, that was a lot of great advice and some new recipes or things that I'd forgotten about. So I have some things I'm going to try.
Yes, I'm eager to try some more again too. I just really loved hearing from those.
Yes, and it was a good variety. So it was good, lots of good options there. If you're listening, let Chris and me know what your quick go-to dinner is. The meal you make when you get home and need to make dinner fast.
Absolutely. I would love to hear your suggestions. And you can also share any tips you have on traveling and staying focused on your goals. You can leave us a message at becomingelli.com. And you can also find us as Becoming Elli on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
If you enjoy listening to our podcast, you may also like Women Over 70, Aging Reimagined. It is a podcast dedicated to shattering the myth that women become irrelevant as they age. Listen to their powerful stories that celebrate women's enduring courage, compassion, and contribution. Learn more at womenover70.com.
Hey, it was great talking with you today, Jill. I'm looking forward to our next episode of the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast.
I am too. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.